everyone. Thank you very much for presenting me. I'm very happy to be here, and I would like to present you this work that have been done in University of Calabria in Italy, and also with another group with which we collaborate of University of Pierre Marie Curie and the Institute of Nanoscience of Paris. So the topic that I want to present for you today is self-assembled periodic defect patterns and nanoparticles in smectic liquid crystal fields. First of all, I would like to tell a few words about what are smectic liquid crystals and what kind of defects we can observe in such structures. And of course, why it's interesting and how it can be useful for us to study these defect patterns. Then I will tell a little bit of the theory of one-dimensional, two-dimensional defects formation in liquid crystals, and I will present you experimental results that have been done by our groups. So, what are liquid crystals? In particular, smectic liquid crystals. Smectic liquid crystals consist of molecules, rod-like molecules that tend to align parallel to each other, and they tend to align parallel to each other along to one common direction, which is called director. And also they tend to arrange in parallel layers of equal thickness. The director can be determined by anisotropic interaction with the boundaries, and also by applying external fields such as, for example, electric field. Typical liquid crystal films are confined between two interfaces, one of which usually induce homeotropic anchoring. As you can see here, is normal to the surface, and another interface typically induces planar anchoring, which is parallel to the surface. And so that when the liquid crystal film confined between such two interfaces, which produce incompatible anchoring conditions, to satisfy such conditions, the way to do this is to bend liquid crystal layers around a singularity, which is a linear defect C here. To bend the layers, but very important thing that the thickness of the layer should be the same. In this case, as you can see, we will have a planar alignment on one surface and a homotropic alignment on another surface. Still, there are a few possibilities. When we have degenerated planar anchoring, the type of defects that the system will produce is a so-called Terrifico conic domain. In such kind of defect, the layer curvatures are accommodated by two defect lines, a straight line perpendicular to the surface and another circle line on the bottom of the cylinder. And these lines are represented singularities which are which means that the liquid crystal order is broken in the singularities. And the straight line here serves as an axis of rotational symmetry of Terrifico conic domain. And the local optic axis for the molecules in each layer are always parallel to the lines that connect both singularities. In another situation, when to minimize the surface energy, liquid crystal defects in liquid crystals are tend to fill all the surface, and in this case we will observe hexagonal lattice of toroidal focal conic domains. In another situation, when the planar anchoring is unidirectional, so that there is well-defined direction in plane, we can expect that the character of the defects will be different. It will be one-dimensional defects, so-called oily streaks. And in this case, also smectic layers are banded in a cylinders around the destination line, which is typically straight line. And also another type of defects appear here. It's a curvature wall which connect the regions with a different curvature. Okay. A little bit about the application. Liquid crystals are very, very interesting and attracts a lot of interest of science during the last decade because they have one very important feature is to very rapidly, due to self-assembly, create a nice, good ordered periodic lattices, as here you can see two-dimensional hexagonal lattice of focal conic domains. And it's very fast, it's easy to create a good ordered structure over a large area. So that in the bottom images you can see scanning electron microscopy image of the lattice, the same lattice of focal conic domains and the replica of the same lattice. And as it was shown, it can be, it finds a very nice application as, for example, this microlenses array. It is very easy to do. It's just to focus a light using normal optical microscope to focus a light in a focal plane of the focal conic domains, or in this case in a polymer. And for a polymer it works even better because it has a uniform refractive index, so we don't have such a lot of aberrations as you can see here in the pictures. And another very nice feature of the liquid crystals is that it was shown that they're able to trap colloids, and here you can see the fluorescence image and very good arrangement for lattice. As for linear defects arrays, as you can see from polarized optical microscopy image, also the big area of very good ordered structure can be observed. And as it was shown, linear defects also can work as a trap for quantum dots and for nanoparticles. And as you can see from fluorescence of quantum dots, they can guide quantum dots in a way that they produced very straight, very nice channels. And the same was observed for our nanoparticles, as you can see from the same image here. And also it was shown that in such a system, in a mixture of our nanoparticles with a liquid crystal, we can observe a plasmon resonance that is sensitive to the polarization of the light. it is different when we shine a light along a channel or perpendicular to the channel. As for sample preparations, we've been studying two different types of structures. Deformable interface, where it was open droplets or open films of liquid crystal deposited on air. And we checked a different type of liquid crystals and different surfaces, of course. So the liquid crystal droplets was deposited on air in the isotropic phase and then was cooled down to the smectic phase. The important thing here is that the thickness of the liquid crystal film should be about 1 micron and less to create the linear defect arrays. And linear domains grows perpendicular to easy axis, to easy axis here, and the period of domains decreasing when the thickness of the drop decrease. So as you can see here from our experiment for HCB on muscovite mica, for HCB on molybdenite, for 80CB on mica, for HCB on wrapped polyamide, and for CS1024 on wrapped polyamide, we can observe the same the same arrays of one-dimensional liquid crystal defects, and also for SCE12. The lateral size P of a linear domain as a function of the film thickness H of liquid crystal in droplets and thin films was studied, and as you can see from just a simple linear approximation of experimental results for also different type of liquid crystals, different type of surfaces, the slope was 2, which means that the period of liquid crystals increased twice as much as the thickness of the liquid crystal field. And the recent model that was proposed by a group of Emmanuel Lacaze and Bruno Zappone, you can see here on an insert. Another type of samples that we've been studying is a closed cell. They have a lot of advantages as controlled thickness, as you have seen as a period of liquid crystal defect, of linear defect, depends strongly on the thickness of the film. And in such kind of the samples, we can, by controlling the thickness, control also the period, and to create the structure which properties, with the properties that we want to observe. Another thing is that in the closed cells, we can use a much higher variety of different liquid crystals and of different coating for liquid crystals, because the wettability problem is solved. We can reach the thickness just because we have to confine the surfaces, and the only thing that we need here. And there is another very good advantage is that in such a system we can apply an electric field just by covering the surfaces with some I2O coating. So the same very nice structures, even over a larger scale than it was for thin films and for droplets, we had observed for closed cells. And also the dependence of period versus thickness was studied, and again by linear approximation we obtained the slope 2, which lead us to propose so far the easy model. It is not the final model, but from this study at least we can say that the period is twice more than the thickness, and also from measuring the phase retardation, which gave us the birefringence of the material in a region which gave us the birefringence of the material, which is very close to the numbers that are given by literature, the maximum birefringence for this type of liquid crystal, and it means that there are a region with only planar anchoring and another region with only homeotropic anchoring, and this just give us an idea of the future model will do. And about an applying of electric field, it also, sorry, just 1 minute. It also showed us that it seems we are able to switch from a two-dimensional structure, to one-dimensional structure by just applying electric field, but still this study now in a progress. So thank you for your attention.
And the paper is open for questions and comments. It's the last class this evening, so.
Thank you for the interesting talk. Iryna, can you tell us, just have a few, two small questions. What about the temperature dependence of the period and the distance from the
all the measurements
different lines?
All the measurements that I present here was done at the same temperature, because yeah, you're right that the period depends on the temperature, and as you closer to the smectic nematic transition, as a smaller period you will observe. I mean, in the same region, in the same place, you will observe smaller period when you increase the temperature and when you are going closer to the smectic nematic transition.
I see. And the small question is, what frequency or what type of electric field did you use for the electric experiments?
It's a direct current.
Okay, thank you.
Another question or comment? Okay, if not, let's thank to our speaker again. And,